Hey everyone, welcome back to the last video of the year where we're going to talk about a New Year's resolution for 2026, and that's how you can ditch the tech debt by containerizing those legacy apps with a little help from your favorite AI tool. It's time to stop paying for those dead operating systems, and it's time to modernize. So, as always, let's start out by defining the problem. And there is a virtual machine tech debt problem with just about every customer I've ever talked to. A lot of them are constantly trying to age out the aging infrastructure. They've got old versions of old operating systems with important applications that sometimes the app owners are not always around anymore, but the app is critical and they got to keep it running. And of course, this in turn creates a security nightmare because then you have unpatched CVEs and compliance failures. It can be a mess. It also sort of handcuffs you to a particular infrastructure because sometimes those older operating systems can't move to the cloud. So therefore, you can't modernize that infrastructure. Another problem that I've seen too is some of those old operating systems have a manual patch process. So that means setting aside time on patch weekends, which of course in turn creates deployment anxiety. So the solution is to shift to containers. And to containers can really help with security because you can create a modern base image and then automate that patching just by simply rebuilding the container. You introduce a new level of portability to your application that you didn't have before. So it doesn't matter if it's on bare metal, cloud, or edge. It will run the same no matter where it's deployed. With containers, you typically introduce that automation which gives you CI/CD pipelines and thereby giving you consistent deployments. And with all of that, you just get a lot more freedom because you're decoupling your apps from your infrastructure. And as an added bonus, I deliberately saved this for last because I hate to talk about price. But I think it's probably axiomatic that all of these processes will introduce a tremendous amount of cost savings, especially by eliminating extended lifecycle support contracts from your IT budget. So, a great tool to use to help you to accelerate the migration is your favorite LLM. Doesn't matter if it's Google or ChatGPT or Claude or Grok or whatever one you want to use. AI, any kind of AI, is going to help you remove the friction, and it will not require any kind of black belt skills anymore. I've used AI to help me draft up just a base container file, troubleshooting errors, and then, of course, generating those Kubernetes OpenShift manifests so that I can quickly deploy and of course help me troubleshoot any errors that I might get for something I might have missed. It is absolutely wonderful. So let's get into a real world example. PHP has been around for what 30 something years now, and there are a lot of PHP apps out there. It is still the most popular framework with something like a 72.5% market share. I assume that's probably because of all the WordPress deployments out there. I'm not really sure. So my approach is I'm going to use the unsupported but free CentOS Stream 9 base, which is now the downstream version for Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9. And I'm also going to I want to deploy these containers on the world's leading Kubernetes platform in OpenShift. And I also want to have an automated pipeline so that anytime I update the container file or something else that goes with it, I kick off a new build that automatically pushes my container to my container registry. It's just going to make my life so much easier. And once I get this process down with my favorite AI tool, I should be able to rinse and repeat for other legacy apps. So think Spring Boot, Python, what have you. It is marvelous. But enough talk. Let's get into the demo. And as always, I will post my instructions on GitHub so you can follow along. See you over there.
If you get the objectives right, a lieutenant can write the strategy.
Okay, so Nextcloud is one of my at least favorite open source projects. It's been around for a while. and getting Nextcloud's official Docker container and Helm deployment to run on OpenShift, which is my target Kubernetes platform, getting it to run without root privileges, it's a challenge. Now, most deployment guides assume that you can run an application as root. OpenShift has a great feature called security context constraints that inhibit running containers as root. And if you try, you're going to get this crash loop back off, and it will take you some time to, and a lot of frustration to get it running. So I did try Nextcloud's official Helm deployment with a values file, similar to what I did with Rocket Chat, but it was challenging, so I tried a new approach. What I did was I partnered with Claude AI to fix the Nextcloud deployment by building a new deployment from scratch, ready for deployment on an enterprise-ready Kubernetes system like OpenShift. So, using Claude, I gave it a clearly defined objective, just like George Marshall would say, and I told it I want to run Nextcloud in a default namespace. So I built a container from scratch with the help of Claude, and it took me about 2.5 hours of pair programming over a few weeks. And it resulted in a complete stack. I got a CentOS Stream 9 based container running a pretty cutting edge version of PHP 8.3 along with Nginx, so I don't have to worry about Apache and root, along with a new MariaDB 11.8 database and a Redis 8 cache. So the result was great. Claude gave me all the files here. Took a lot of iteration. Again, it took me about 2.5 hours. But this, without Claude, this may have taken me 2.5 months, and the result would not have been as good. So let's go through the deployment. Let's show you what Claude gave me. The result here of 2.5 hours is basically a deployment, a full deployment of Nextcloud with a Redis cache and a MariaDB database in a restricted namespace on an enterprise Kubernetes that deploys in about 5 minutes. All right, see you over there in the demo.
Okay, so we need a place in which to deploy this Nextcloud instance. So go over to sandbox.redhat.com and log in. Once you click on the OpenShift link, you'll go to the OpenShift console and click in the top right-hand corner to copy the login command. Copy the login token and then go to your terminal and paste it. It should log you into the OpenShift console. Make sure you're in the default project, which is typically tied to your name. Okay, so now we are ready to deploy. Copy and paste the bash command that I gave, which you may need to adjust based on your settings. And you'll see that almost immediately pods are starting to come online. When they're dark blue, that means the pod is ready and it's fully running. If I click on the Redis there, you'll see is running Redis 8.4. Now MariaDB is ready. That was very quick. I can just look at the logs here. It is in a ready state, ready to receive traffic. Click back on the topology view, and now you see the Nextcloud container is starting to spin up. And this one will take a little bit longer. And if I click on the little URL route there, you'll see that it's not ready to receive traffic. So that's a light blue when it's not quite ready, as opposed to the dark blue. And this one will take a little bit longer. Another great benefit of using Claude, it suggested to me some sequencing steps and added some timeouts to my deployment script so that the deployment was properly sequenced here, Redis, then MariaDB, then Nextcloud. That all came from Claude, and that all came from that iterative 2.5 hour debugging process. Super, super helpful. So we're almost ready to go here. The whole deployment takes less than 5 minutes. Okay, now we've got a solid blue. That means we're essentially ready to go. I click on that URL, look at that. I am at the admin page. Now, I don't have the admin password yet. The script will display the password once, and it is randomly generated. So another great feature that Claude suggested was to do some day 2 operations so that I'm fully operational. So now using the OpenShift command line, we're going to go into the container and run some Nextcloud specific commands to optimize the database. And then also set up the Collabra server so that I can edit documents. Again, this was another suggestion from Claude based on some behaviors that I saw. I went back into Claude, said, hey, what is this message about here? And made some suggestions to make the deployment faster and better. So now I've got the admin password. I can log back in or log in to Nextcloud here and go through the setup process. So I'll just click on customize here and kind of go with some of the defaults. All good there. Yep, set my location. All set. And I can change my appearance if I want to. I can go into the files here. Let's make sure that that Collabra server is up and running. This took a lot of debugging with Claude. And look at that. I can edit Microsoft documents inside. So if I go back to the OpenShift console here, now I can kind of observe how my container is running and look at CPU usage, memory usage. You'll see some, spikes up and down. Look at my bandwidth. I got just a great environment where I can run Nextcloud. MariaDB is looking good. Let's look at my Redis cache here. Maybe just take a quick look at the logs. Yep, everything looks good. Go back to workloads. Click on the topology view. Got a nice visualization. Observe. Yeah, all ready to go here. Terrific. So if I go into the administrative menu here and I click on the administrative settings, uh, it's going to go through the security and setup warnings and just kind of check my server to make sure it's all up and running and that everything looks good. There's nothing else we need to take care of. The version is up to date. Got the latest and greatest here. Pretty benign warnings here, nothing big. Again, this is just sort of proof of concept. I can go into the theming here. I went over to ChatGPT and asked ChatGPT to create a new Nextcloud OpenShift theme. So I included some logos here. Yeah, that's looking good. Let me log out, see what that looks like. Look at that. I got a Nextcloud OpenShift theme. Go back in with the admin name and password. And there it is. You got a full deployment. Look at that. All thanks to AI. Thank you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Good luck with reducing your tech debt. Let me know what you think.